Did you know there was a legendary samurai battle that history almost forgot? Imagine this, an isolated clan surrounded on all sides, refusing to surrender, choosing to fight until the last breath. A battle so intense it pushed the limits of human resolve, loyalty, and honor. Today, we're uncovering a story that textbooks never taught us, one filled with betrayal, bloodshed, and a fight for survival. And hey, if you love discovering hidden gems like this one, hit that subscribe button right now. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. For Part 1, the untold story of the Shimazu clan. In the late 16th century, Japan was in chaos. The land was fractured, with powerful warlords or daimyo fighting to carve out their own kingdoms. At the center of it all was Toyotomi Hideyoshi, a military genius who was on the brink of unifying Japan. But there was one last piece standing in his way: the fiercely independent Shimazu clan of Kyushu. The Shimazu were no ordinary samurai. For centuries, they had ruled their lands with an iron fist, surviving against rival clans and natural disasters. But now, they faced their greatest challenge yet. Hideyoshi had already conquered the northern territories and turned his gaze southward, determined to crush any remaining resistance. As Hideyoshi's armies began their march, the Shimazu clan was vastly outnumbered, 200,000 soldiers to their 20,000. The odds were grim, but surrender? That was never an option for the proud Shimazu. Part 2, the strategic mastermind. Leading the Shimazu was General Shimazu Yoshihiro, a seasoned warrior known for his tactical brilliance. Yoshihiro was no stranger to battle. He had led countless campaigns and survived against overwhelming odds before. But this time, he knew he was up against a force unlike any other. So how did the Shimazu plan to defend against an army 10 times their size? By turning the terrain into their ally. The Hetsugigawa River became their chosen battlefield, a narrow passage where Hideyoshi's overwhelming numbers would count for nothing. Yoshihiro's strategy was simple yet brilliant: lure Hideyoshi's forces into a trap by feigning a retreat, then strike hard when they were most vulnerable. It was a gamble, but with the lives of his people at stake, Yoshihiro was ready to risk everything. Part 3. The Battle of Hetsugigawa begins. The night before the battle, the Shimazu warriors sharpened their katanas, knowing that the coming dawn might be their last. As Hideyoshi's forces began crossing the river, the Shimazu sprung their trap. Under the cover of darkness, they launched a fierce surprise attack, slashing through enemy lines with the precision and discipline of seasoned samurai. For a moment, it seemed like the Shimazu might actually turn the tide. The enemy was thrown into chaos, soldiers falling left and right. But as the first light of dawn broke, the Shimazu realized something terrifying. They had been lured into a counter-trap. Hideyoshi's forces, anticipating Yoshihiro's strategy, had surrounded them. The river that was supposed to be their salvation now became a prison. They were outnumbered, outflanked, and running out of time. Part 4. The final charge. At this point, any other army would have surrendered. But the Shimazu were not just any army. Faced with certain death, Yoshihiro gathered his men for one last charge. He knew that if they were going to die, they would die fighting like true samurai. Imagine the scene: hundreds of warriors, wounded and exhausted, rallying for one final push. The ground trembled as they surged forward, their battle cries piercing the morning air. The Shimazu charged straight into the heart of Hideyoshi's army, cutting through enemy soldiers with a fury that shocked even the most battle-hardened veterans. But it wasn't enough. One by one, the Shimazu fell, their bodies piling up like a wall of defiance against an unstoppable tide. Yoshihiro, covered in blood, continued to fight, refusing to give up until he was surrounded. In a final act of defiance, he broke through the encirclement with a handful of his most loyal samurai escaping into the mountains. Part 5. The Aftermath and the Legacy. The Battle of Hetsugigawa was over. The Shimazu had lost thousands of warriors, and while Yoshihiro survived, his clan's power was shattered. Yet their last stand became a legend, a testament to the unwavering spirit of the samurai. But why is this story rarely told? The answer lies in who wrote the history books. Toyotomi Hideyoshi, having emerged victorious, ensured that his triumphs were glorified while the heroism of his enemies was buried in the shadows. Yet the Shimazu's story lives on as a symbol of resilience. They proved that even when all hope is lost, Even when the odds are stacked against you, there is honor in standing your ground. The Shimazu showed that the true essence of Bushido, the way of the warrior, is not in victory, but in the willingness to fight for what you believe in, no matter the cost. Part 6. The lessons we can learn. So, what can we learn from this hidden chapter of history? Sometimes life throws challenges our way that seem impossible to overcome. The Shimazu remind us that courage isn't about the absence of fear, it's about facing that fear head-on, even when defeat is certain. If you found this story as inspiring as I did, hit that like button to show your support. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe for more epic tales of history's unsung heroes. Share this video with a friend who needs a dose of inspiration, and let's keep these powerful stories alive. Thank you for watching. Remember, history is filled with stories that are waiting to be rediscovered. The more we learn from the past, the better we can face our own battles in the present. So stay curious, stay brave, and I'll see you in the next video.